All right, let's get straight into it because there's a lot to unpack when it comes to what's going on with the Dallas Cowboys right now. ESPN just dropped some updates through Todd Archer that really deserve some attention. Not just the surface stuff, but some deeper layers that might say a lot about where this team is headed as we inch closer to the season. And let me tell you, there are questions, big ones, lingering over key positions on the Cowboys roster. We're talking about the nickel cornerback situation, the backup offensive tackle position, and that defensive tackle spot that just keeps coming back into the conversation year after year. Let's kick things off with the nickel cornerback situation, because that, in my eyes, might be the biggest defensive question the Cowboys need to figure out before week 1. The team is trying to replace Jordan Lewis, who, by all accounts, they actually wanted to keep. The issue? That contract ballooned into something they weren't expecting, and suddenly Dallas found themselves looking internally to fill a role that isn't exactly easy to lock down. According to Archer's report, 4 names are in the mix right now. Darren Bland, Kaiir Elam, Kalen Barnes, and Savion Red. But here's the twist. None of these guys have true nickel experience under their belts. That's not ideal. Now, Darren, Bland is the obvious standout from that group, and he brings something unique to the table. He's the most experienced of the bunch and actually saw significant time playing in the slot back in 2022 when Jordan Lewis went down with that injury. He proved he could handle the inside. Then last season, he kicked outside and balled out, becoming one of the league's more productive playmakers at the position. But that creates a bit of a dilemma for Dallas. Bland is good enough to hold down the slot, sure, but he's also very good on the outside. So do you keep him inside because you trust him the most? Or do you risk weakening both spots by putting someone unproven inside and shifting Bland out of position? If Diggs and Red are healthy, then maybe Bland shifts inside in nickel sets and you feel okay about it. But if those guys aren't ready, or worse, can't stay healthy, it could force Bland to stay outside by necessity, which then opens up a big question mark inside. And make no mistake, the Cowboys need that nickel spot locked down. In today's NFL, that's not a part-time position anymore. That's a starting role. Your nickel corner is on the field more than your third linebacker. So when Archer suddenly floated the idea that Dallas might look outside the building for help, I perked up, because that's the kind of quiet note that usually signals something more is brewing behind the scenes. Then there's Kaiir Elam, who's had a strange journey since entering the league. He was strictly an outside guy in college at Florida, and he stayed outside during his time with the Bills. No experience inside. Kalen Barnes, same story. Strictly an outside corner. Savion Red is intriguing long-term, and the coaches seem excited about his potential, but he's a rookie coming off an injury. Expecting him to step right into the slot and lock it down is probably asking too much, at least early on. And again, we run into that same trend. None of these guys are built like your typical nickel. That spot usually goes to a shorter, quicker, shiftier type. Someone who can react in a flash and isn't afraid to step into the run game. The long, lanky types with speed are better suited to the boundary. That's not what the Cowboys have. Here, which brings us back to what Archer hinted at. Maybe, just maybe, they bring in a veteran from the outside to stabilize the position. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. Not a single mention of Israel Mukuamu in the ESPN piece. That caught me off guard. Because this is a guy who's been in the building, played nickel, and was brought back on a very team-friendly deal. The lack of mention, that raises a flag. Maybe not a bright red one, but at least beige, right? Archer doesn't usually miss things like that. So if Izzy truly isn't being considered for that role, or at least not prominently, then yeah, the Cowboys might absolutely have to go get someone. Some names have been tossed around. Asante Samuel Jr. always gets brought up in these conversations because of his name and flashes of production. But again, he's been strictly an outside guy. He was outside in college, and the same goes for his time with the Chargers. There's no real evidence he can slide inside and thrive, especially coming off an injury. Same with Stephon Gilmore. You don't sign Gilmore to play nickel. You sign him to lock down the boundary. But if you did bring in someone like him, maybe that gives you the flexibility to shift Bland inside if that's what the staff feels is the best fit. There's also Mike Hilton, and I don't want to go too deep on him just yet because I think that deserves a full segment, but I will say this. Hilton might be one of the best fits available if you're looking for a true nickel, a guy who's been there, done that, and knows the role inside and out. The kind of stopgap that makes sense while younger guys like Red get up to speed. Kendall Fuller's another name worth watching. He's played some nickel in the past and has the experience to handle it. Arthur Mollett? Less inspiring, but he's played the position. You're not going to get fireworks from either of those guys, but in terms of sheer competence and knowing where to be, they bring more to the table right now than anyone not named Darren Bland. So maybe it's not flashy. Maybe it's not a dream scenario, but if it prevents the secondary from getting exposed early in the season, you gotta at least consider it. Now, let's switch gears and talk offensive tackle, because there's another storm quietly brewing there. The Cowboys have their plan in place. At least that's what they're telling us. Tyler Guyton at left tackle, Terrence Steele at right tackle. That's the vision, and for now it's locked in. But if we're being honest, there's not a ton of margin for error here. If either of those guys falters, whether due to injury or inconsistency, the Cowboys don't have a crystal clear answer waiting in the wings. Let's talk about Guyton first. He's got the physical tools. That much is obvious. But last season was rough. The coaching staff didn't exactly put him in the best position to succeed, and his confidence seemed to take a hit. For a tackle in this league, that's a big deal. You can't hesitate. You can't second guess yourself. The moment you do, you're on the ground or your quarterback is. Now, some of the penalties he drew last year were borderline at best, but 9 flags in fewer than 700 snaps. That's got to get cleaned up. That can't happen again. As for Steele, it's clear the front office believes in him more than the general fan base does right now. They think a new coaching staff, new scheme, and some simplified assignments could unlock a better version of Steele, and they might be right. But banking on a complete turnaround without a strong safety net is risky. That brings us to the real issue, the depth behind those two. 5 names came up in Archer's breakdown. Asim Richards, Hakeem Adeniji, Sadiq Charles, Matt Waletsko, and rookie Ajani Cornelius. None of these guys are locked into a roster spot yet, and most of them don't have guaranteed money on their deals. Some might not even make it out of training camp. Waletsko is hanging on by a thread at the end of his rookie contract. Charles, Adeniji, even Richards to an extent. They've got some guard tackle flexibility, which could help them sneak onto the final roster as swing depth. But are you really comfortable if one of them has to protect Dak Prescott's blindside in week 3? That's where things get dicey. Now, here's the real break glass in case of emergency option. Tyler Smith. If things go sideways, they could always kick him back out to left tackle. He's done it before. He did it well, in fact. Arguably better than Guyton did last year. But the goal clearly is to keep Smith inside at left guard and let Guyton develop on the outside. That's the plan. The hope. But hope isn't a strategy, and they know that. If injuries pile up or things start to unravel, they'll make changes. And to be fair, offensive line play is all about chemistry. Continuity, consistency. Every offensive line coach will tell you the same thing. Ideally, you want to play the same 5 guys all year long. That's how you build trust and communication. When you're shuffling pieces around mid-game, you lose all of that. Sure, some teams survive it, but most don't. So this coaching staff, they're under pressure. Clayton Adams, Connor Riley, this is their time to prove they can stabilize things up front. Because if they can't, we'll be sitting here next offseason having the same conversation about new personnel and new patches to a line that never quite holds together. And listen, we're just getting started. There's still the defensive tackle situation to get into. And that might be the most overlooked problem facing this team right now. But we'll get to that in just a moment. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. In a decisive move to bolster their offensive line, the Dallas Cowboys have signed veteran guard Kevin Zeitler, a move widely seen as a strategic effort to provide better protection for their quarterback and enhance the team's offensive consistency. Zeitler, who brings over a decade of NFL experience, is expected to make an immediate impact with his physical presence, intelligence, and leadership in the trenches. The Cowboys, who have faced challenges in maintaining a solid offensive front, in recent seasons see Zeitler as a key piece in reinforcing their protection schemes. The former Baltimore Ravens lineman is known for his durability and technical proficiency, attributes that have earned him respect across the league. with the pressure on the Cowboys to make a deeper playoff run, reinforcing the offensive line became a top priority during the offseason, and Zeitler was at the top of their list. Zeitler's arrival in Dallas not only strengthens the line, but also sends a clear message. The Cowboys are committed to giving their quarterback the time and security needed to execute the offense effectively. With standout pass rushers populating the NFC East, having a reliable interior lineman like Zeitler is crucial. His ability to handle bull rushes and maintain a clean pocket is expected to reduce the hits and sacks that have plagued the team in critical moments. The signing also reflects Dallas's shift toward investing in proven veterans rather than solely relying on draft prospects to patch up weaknesses. Zeitler, a former first-round pick out of Wisconsin, has played for the Bengals, Browns, Giants, and most recently the Ravens, consistently performing at a high level throughout his career. As training camp approaches, all eyes will be on how Zeitler integrates into the Cowboys system. If he lives up to expectations, his presence could be the difference maker for a Dallas offense eager to silence critics and chase a long-awaited Super Bowl run. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.